Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today on Political Science, we're going to be discussing an important concept and subfield in the field of political science, which is the concept of comparative politics. Today in this video, we're going to be exploring the very meaning of comparative politics and how it helps us understand global politics. So stick to the very end of this video to learn about this. Let's get started. In the world today, we have different political systems. You have nations that practice democracy, you have the communists, you have the dictatorship, you have the monarchy systems, and also you have different nations that practice different political structures like the federal, the unitary. You also have different nations that practice the party systems, like you have the one party, the two party, the multi-party systems. You have different political institutions across nations of the world. You have different political behaviors, different political structures, different political processes, different political electoral systems across nations of the world. In fact, as it relates to politics, you have different practices across nations of the world. So how then can we be able to understand these different practices, actions and activities and processes that takes place across the nations of the world? It is only by comparing them, because it only makes sense that when we compare them, we can be able to understand these differences and similarities that cut across nations of the world, which is the major crux of comparative politics, since comparative politics provides us with that tool for actually carrying out these comparisons for us to understand these differences and similarities that lie across nations of the world. What then exactly is comparative politics? In the field of political science, you have different subfields, some of which include American politics, you have international relations, you have political economy, you have political theory, and several other subfields. And the major focus for today, which is the concept of comparative politics, which is also part of the subfield of political science. So in defining comparative politics, simply put, it is a subfield of political science that compares and studies the political institutions, political systems, political structures, electoral systems, political behaviors, political cultures, anything at all that relates to politics across nations of the world. And we do this in order to understand the differences and similarities that cut across these political processes, activities, and actions that takes place across these nations of the world. There are several scholarly definitions of the concept of comparative politics. Among this definition is that of a renowned political scientist, Gabriel Almond, who defined comparative politics as the study of political systems, processes, and behaviors across different countries with the aim of identifying patterns, similarities, and differences. It focuses on understanding how various political systems function and how these differences affect political outcome. Let's take, for example, we are to compare the political system of United States of America and China. In comparison, we're not just focusing on the government structure, but also we're looking at how this government structure tends to impact on the decision making of both countries. How do the citizens engage with their leaders in both countries? How are laws being made and enforced in both countries? So this tells you that comparative politics entails a whole lot of variables in comparison. And by providing answers to these questions, comparative politics helps us understand why is it that democracy tends to thrive in certain countries, yet fail in some countries? And why is it that certain policies tend to succeed and yet fail in some countries? So these are some of the issues that comparative politics provide answers to. In fact, some of the questions include, why is it that some countries are more developed than the others? What are the reasons for the success or failure of various policies across countries? Why do government choose a particular policy over the other? Why is democracy strong in some countries and weak in others? How do interest groups influence policy across different political systems of the world? The only way of providing answers to these questions is by comparison. And this forms the major crux of comparative politics. And this brings us to the end of this video on the meaning of comparative politics. In my next video, I'll be explaining the scope of comparative politics. That is, the various aspects that comparative politics tends to cover. A little recap on what we've done for today. So we've been able to establish that comparative politics is that subfield of political science that helps us to understand the differences and the similarities that cut across different nations of the world. This includes their political system, structures, behaviors, culture, institution, electoral system, party system, and every other thing as it relates to political activities, actions, processes that cut across these nations of the world. And that's all for today. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit on the notification bell to continue to be updated as we posting more political science related topics like this very one. Thanks.